Hello, everyone. Welcome. If there's anyone, please, if you can welcome my lovely sister Anastasia. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Okay. Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you, Queen Anastasia. You're welcome. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you. Let's see. Hello, Beate. How are you? It's been a while. I heard from you. I've not heard from you for a long time. Can you just, are you okay? Everything is okay with you? I haven't heard from you for a while. She said she's here too. Oh, thank you so much for joining me. Good evening, Pastor Anu. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if I can just ask every one of us to please share the video so everyone will know that we are live. We are now live, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh yes, Beate, I'm asking about you. It's been a while. I heard from you. Well, it's good to hear from you again. It's good to hear from you again. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'll just start whilst others join us. But please, if you know anyone, anybody, either married or not married, you want to go and call them so they can join us this evening, because this is a very, very serious issue that has been in my heart for a very, very long time. And I have read so many books, I've listened to so many messages, I've attended so many seminars, but I haven't really been able to connect and to understand this topic until now. So please, if you know anyone, either married or not married, regardless, they all want to join us this evening. Thank you. Oh, Pastor Anu is asked, how are you doing this? I'm doing really good, Pastor Anu. As you can see, I am so excited. I am so happy. Thank you so much. Oh, my king is here, Oluwatoyin. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. We're just going to go straight into the discussion of today, because there's really so much to talk about. But if in any case we are unable to finish this discussion today, I promise that I will come back another Sunday for us to finish this conversation. But I do hope we are able to finish this conversation, because it's a lot to talk about, because there's been a lot of things going on when it has to do with singleness. It's a lot of issue. And today, one of my focus is that we will be able to address some certain issues, like some serious issues that has been going on for a very long time. Even before I was born, these issues have been going on. So, and one of the things that by the grace of God, as we go along in this message, we'll be able to address is, why do unmarried, not single, but why do unmarried people avoid being single? Why do they avoid being single? And then another message or another line of topic that I will also want us to touch today is the issue of loneliness. So as we go along, we should be able to talk about how loneliness can be dealt with when we understand this whole message that I'll be sharing with us today, and also why the rate of divorce is so high. Divorce is so high, even amongst our Christian community, even amongst us Christians. Divorce is really high, and most of us, we don't really understand the reason why all these things are just taking place. So I'm just hoping that by the end of this conversation, we would have been able to deal with the reason why the rate of divorce is so high, and how we can deal with loneliness, and also why do unmarried people avoid being single. That is like the headline. That is one of the things that I hope today we will be able to finish this conversation. So I'm just going to say hello to the people that are just joining us. Good evening, Mrs. Ufoma. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Good evening, Mrs. Nikki Kristen. I do appreciate you. Thank you so much. I've got my sister here. Oh, Sparkles with Treasure. I do appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me. And then I have Anthony as well. Thank you for joining me. And I have my wonderful, beautiful sister, Eniola. Thank you so much for joining me. So, why do unmarried people avoid being single? Number one reason why unmarried people avoid being single is because we have the wrong definition of singleness. We have the wrong definition of singleness. That is why we avoid being single. Now, we often say that if somebody is married, the person is no longer single. Or if the person is not married, we say, oh, this person is single, whilst the person that is married is no longer single. He's now married. But there is a big difference between singleness and married or unmarried. Being single is like a state, is like our whole being of life, as in we can't avoid it. We just can't, we can't detach ourselves from being single, you know. But married or unmarried is just a status that we add to our life. It can go, as in it can be taken away from us. For example, I am Miss Elizabeth Ali, and then when I get married, I am Mrs. Elizabeth, whatever the husband name is, or I still use my name. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change me as a person. It doesn't change me still being single. It has nothing to do, it doesn't change me, but my status has changed. So automatically, we want to transform from singleness to married, which is kind of really very, very difficult. As in, we can't do that. It is impossible for us to leave who we are and just go to being married. So there is a huge difference, and I just hope that we will be able to finish all that today. So what is my definition of singleness? A lot of people have several definitions of singleness, but I have done my research and I picked out my definition of singleness from the book of Genesis chapter 1 and 2. I'm not going to read those verses of the Bible. I know most of us, we know that scripture so much. So here is my definition of what singleness is. Number one, The number one definition of singleness is talking about source. So I've got source, I've got identity, I've got purpose, I've got potential, and I've got destiny or destination. When you add up all those things together, they equal singleness. When you add source, identity, purpose, potential, destiny, all these things, they all sum up for me to be being single. So if at the end of the day, I want to get myself out of all these 5 things that I just mentioned. So if I get myself out, what do I want to be? I become a nobody, because it is impossible for somebody to go from all these things that I just mentioned to just attaching themselves to a husband or to a wife and then adding that status. So it's not going to be possible. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to explain to us each and every of this point that I just made. Now, when you talk about source, which is the first thing, when you talk about source, you're talking about where we're coming from. And we know that our source, we're coming from God. God is our source. And when you look at the scripture properly, it says that we are made in the image and in the likeness of God. And for some of us that know this lady, Bumi Balogun, she was able to break down what this image and this likeness talks about, according to the scripture, which I'm just gonna call. My internet is giving me a little bit of issue. Okay, so when you talk about the image of God and you talk about the likeness of God, you're talking about the whole being of God. And the whole being of God entails that you're questioning who God is. And we know that God is a spirit, God is creative, God is intelligent, He's a God of relationship, He's got morals, and He communicates with us. So I just broke down that part to what the image of God is. We know that God is a spirit, God is very intelligent, He's very creative, and He relates with us. And that is one of the reasons why God created us, in order to have relationship with us, in order to communicate with us, and in order for us to be able to receive that His love and to share in that His love. So when you talk about source, you're talking about that place that you're coming from. So if I say that I am the image of God, that means I should have automatically, I should be creative, I should be intelligent, I should have good values, morals, I should, be able to have good relationship with people, I should be able to communicate. It's automatic. It's not you don't have to do anything. Even unbelievers, they have that. Even unbelievers, everybody in this world have this. It's just that some people don't really know where their source is. So that is number one. Having that identity, carving your identity from God, which are all summation of all these things that I just mentioned. Of course, there are so many other things which we know are the characteristics of God, like God is love, He is patient, and all those things, but I just brought out this fundamental point so that I can be able to drive home what I'm talking about. So now, when you see that this is who I am in the image of God, this is my identity. So why am I on this earth? Why am I not with God? I mean, I should be with Him. Why am I on the earth? That is where purpose comes in. And Miles Monroe defined purpose as original intent, which means the original intention that God brought us into the world. Original intention. And everything that happens after Genesis chapter 2, for me, is just I don't see myself in all those. I could learn one or two things from them, but in Genesis 1 and 2, you could see the reason and the purpose and the intention that God had when He created us, when he created us, when he said, let us make man in our own image and in our own likeness. But then again, he did not stop there. He says, so they can do what? Purpose. There is a purpose in just that 2 letters. So they can dominate, they can take over, they can, rule the whole earth. So that is one of the reasons why we are on this earth. Purpose. We are on this earth to do something. What is that thing that we are meant to do? That is where our ability, which is our potential, comes in. The ability that God has put inside of us, coming along with all the things that I have mentioned earlier on. Those are all the things that, God has put us in this world to give back. And when you talk about potential, you're talking about ability, you're talking about inner strength, you're talking about releasing something from your inner person, you're talking about releasing power into your sphere of influence or into the whole earth that God has given to each and every one of us. So I've got this identity, I know my source, I've got this identity, I've got a purpose, which is why I'm on this earth, and I've also got these potentials inside of me. Now, so where am I going with all these things? That is where destination or destiny comes in. And our destination is on this earth, is this place that we are. Because like I said in one of my videos that I did, talking about, I was addressing to women, saying that we are all spirit being, so our purpose or where we are going, all of us as human beings, is this earth, releasing all these things in all this earth. Like I said earlier on, if we are born in the image of God, then why are we not with God? We should have probably been with God, but we are on this earth for a purpose. We are on this earth for a reason. And talking about potential, I want to say that all our potential is for us to use on this earth. All our potentials are for us to use on this earth. God does not need those things that he has put inside of you on this earth. I watched a video yesterday in a training that I went to, is all this Mount Zion movies, that this guy had so many baggages and he was singing whilst he was on his way to heaven. He had all these baggages, and when he got there, when he got to the gate of heaven, they asked him, they said, okay, it's a good thing you overcome all the circumstances, all the tribulations and all the situation, and you got here. But before I open this gate of heaven for you, I want to know, why are you carrying all these bags? And the man was like, oh, this bag is full of books that I am supposed to write. This bag is full of all the songs that I was supposed to sing, and this bag it has got the potential for the cure of sickness or disease, And then this other bag has the power or something for healing and deliverance for millions and billions of people. And then this man was like, so why do you have all these things here? I don't need them. All these things you're supposed to use them on earth. And that is what I say. I say that God is not a waster of resources. So another thing is, all of us, we are all God's resources. And God does not waste anything that he's not a waster of resources. So I just want us to understand this foundation, so that when we go into the deeper issues of singleness, you will understand why being single is very, very important in your life. Whether you're married or not, you're not married, you will understand why being single is very important. So that video really touched my heart, and I was asking myself, and I was saying, so if I am here as a person on this earth to release all this potential. I mean, the guy had so many potentials inside of him, but he never used any one of it. He just said, oh, he went to church, he got married, or stuff like that, and then he did all the prayers and all the fasting, went on all to the mountains, and then he made it to heaven. And God, the person that was there, which was representing God, was like, but I don't need all these things in heaven. I need them on earth. I need all these things, the books, the songs, and the healing, the deliverance, the cancers, the cure for cancer, and all these things. They are irrelevant for me in heaven. You need it on this earth. It's on the earth that people actually need it. So that is where destination comes from. So if we now sum up all these things that I've just mentioned, it equals being single. It equals being single. So being single, or I will say that singleness is all about reflecting all these 5 things that I just called out for us. Being whole, as in complete, is an equation that is complete. You know where your source is from. You know your identity. You can say who you are. You know your purpose in life. You know that I have potentials inside of me, and I've got a destiny, and this earth is awaiting me. So for me, I said God made us as individuals. God did not make us as couples. He created an individual when he was creating us. He didn't create married people. So singleness is God's idea. Singleness is God's idea. It is the genesis of creation. He began with a single person. God did not create 2 people. He created one person first. One person. So now, when I say being whole as a single person, I'm talking about being in a complete state, because God is complete. God has nothing detached from him. When you see the whole world, you say the whole world is complete, is whole, as in WHOLE, is whole, is complete. You can't say, oh, the world is complete, but America is not part of the world. Or you cannot say United Kingdom is not part of the world. Or you cannot say Africa is not part of the world. No, when you talk about a whole being, you're talking about everything that I just mentioned that consists of that person. So I'm sure by now you would have understand that you as a single person, you are important, and it is important for you to develop and understand all these things, understand your source, your identity, your potential, your skills, abilities, understand all these things. Now, if we say that singleness is being unique and being whole as a person, so why do we avoid that? Why do we avoid our source? Why do we avoid being whole? Why do we avoid being unique? Why do we avoid being separate? Why do we want to mingle with other people to form who we are? Why do we avoid it? We want to run away from being single to going into this institution called marriage, thinking that, oh, finally, I am no longer single. Oh, thank God I am no longer single. But it's not. If you're running away from being single, thinking because you got married, then that means you're trying to run away from your unique self. You're trying to run away. Is like you want to get out of your skin. You want to get out of yourself, which is impossible to do. It is impossible for you to be somebody else. You need to be whole. You need to be unique. You need to be separate. And you need to be complete in yourself. Even in marriage. or without marriage, married or not married, you still need that state. Now, if you are pursuing being single, you will never seek validation from anyone. Never. You don't need anybody to validate who you are. You don't need our youth, most of our youth, we're all struggling to be like other people. We want to be like Beyonce. We want to be like I don't know. We want to be like Celine Dion, or we want to be like there are so many people that we want to be like. But we're just trying to run away from who we are into becoming who God did not create us to be. And it is impossible. And that is why loneliness is such on a high increase. A lot of us are suffering from the issue of loneliness, because we're trying to come out from who we are to be other people. And when we get there, we don't find, we're not finding what we are supposed to, what we are looking for. And then we feel empty, because loneliness is like a feeling that you don't have anyone. But if you are complete, you are separate, you are unique, you are a whole being, and you understand that, then you will know that you don't need anybody to feel complete. You don't need anybody to make you complete. You don't need anyone else to how do I best describe this? You don't need you don't need anyone, because you are a whole person. And why is divorce of a high increase? This is the reason why divorce is of a high increase. Because we don't want to be complete. We don't want to be unique. We don't want to be who we are. We don't want to release our ability. We don't want to be that person that we are meant to be. We get from what society say, from what my mother say I am, from what this person say, from what educational system created me to be. We gather all these things and we forget who we are, and we go into marriage. We go into marriage with the opinion of Jessica, with the opinion of John. We go into marriage with several people's opinion, or what my mother defines marriage to be like, or relationship to be like. And then when we get there, do you know what? Our spouses begin to say, I don't understand you anymore. They begin to say, you've changed. Of course, they changed. Why? Because they came into marriage not with their self, without being single. They came into marriage with people's opinion. They came into marriage with who they are not. And it is difficult for our spouses to keep up with us, because we are just representing Jessica. We are not representing who we are. We are not. We are not. And that is why a lot of us we do a lot of things just to earn self-respect, just to earn confidence, just to earn validation, like I said earlier on. But you don't have to do that. You're a complete being. And I don't believe in when people say, I'm looking for my better half. God does not create anything called half. He created a whole complete human being. And that is why my advice to all that are not yet married, if you want to go into a relationship, your time of relationship is not a time for you to be questioning if the person knows how to cook or clean or can do all these things. But you want to find out, does this person understand his source or her source? Does this person understand their identity? Does this person know who they are? Do they know their purpose? Do they even know why they are on this earth? You want to find out if they are single, if they are living single. If you want to understand if they are complete, if they are unique, if they are separate. So your time of relationship is a time for you to get to know all these things. I mean, couple of I think days ago or weeks ago, I put out a post to say that you're not married to somebody and yet you are cooking and cleaning and doing all these things. You know, a lot of people, I put out that post because I wanted to see if people really understand the whole idea of, okay, I want to go from this place that I am, or I want to add a status to my life, which is being married, to me being single. So if I am supposed to do that, how do I go about it? A lot of people don't know how to go about it. They just go into relationships and then they lose their essence of who they are, trying to please somebody and trying to do all the physical things, trying to do all the things, irrelevant things. So now I got to find out that we don't even understand our state. If you understand that you are complete, you are a whole being, you will not be seeking for who to do all these things for you. What you will be seeking for is, if my heart, who I am, suits with this person. You want to you want to find out if this person that I am about to add to me, my life, is, we are together, like the both of us can actually walk together. So being single is not a curse, is not a disease. Is you living out your life as a complete person, as a unique individual. Even in marriage, you need that individual. You need that uniqueness. You need that separateness. You need that completion. You need it. And until we have that mindset where we do everything being single, we will never be satisfied and we will never be fulfilled. We will not. Because we will be running around chasing shadows, chasing other people's shadow, chasing other people's opinion, trying to patch up. It's like a tree. You plant a tree to produce, you plant a mango seed and it grows and it have all these branches, and then the branches now decide that I'm no longer going to produce a mango fruit. I want to produce orange. It is impossible. And that is how you are. It is impossible for you to grow as an individual and say to yourself, I no longer want to be single. I no longer want to be unique. I no longer want to be separate. I no longer want to live in my purpose. I know I'm detaching myself from my source. I just want to be married. But it is impossible. You can't. You need your singleness in marriage. That is why a lot of women lose themselves. When they go into marriage, they have no name. They have no identity. They don't have anything because they've taken themselves and merged up with a man that probably doesn't even know who he is. And then at the end of the day, you've got a nobody and a nobody, both of them married, and then there is nobody in the marriage. Or better still, when the man decides to leave, her whole life is shattered. She doesn't even know where to start because you didn't go into the marriage with the whole idea of the fact that I still need to keep my identity. I still need to keep my person as an individual. So being single is not a curse. It's not a disease. It's actually God's idea, and it's the greatest thing God created. It's the best thing God made. The best. The best. If you look at the story in Genesis 1 and 2 about Adam, you could see that Adam was a complete person. Adam was whole. He was busy. He was releasing his potentials. He was naming all the animals. He was tending the garden. He was working. He was fulfilling his purpose. He wasn't looking for anybody. And God looked at him and was like, wow, this person that I created is amazing. He is whole. He is unique. There wasn't anybody like Adam in the Garden of Eden. In the presence of God, there was nobody. And God was like, if this person is such an amazing person, if he's such a complete, separate, and a unique being, wow, I need somebody like him again. And if you could see that even when God said it is not good for this person to be alone, and that word alone doesn't mean loneliness as in he is empty. No, it just simply means it is not good that this person has all this uniqueness, he's just complete, has all this potential. He's just so full. He is complete in himself, just by himself. I need to make another person so that the both of them can, be complete. They can reflect my identity. They can reflect my image. They can release their potential. And if I talked about in the beginning, God is the spirit. He's creative. He's intelligent. And he's got morals. And he's a God of relationship. I was like, ooh, I need to make another person that is like that. And if you read your Bible carefully, you will understand that when God said it is not good that I leave this person complete like this, he didn't just go and make Eve immediately. No, he did not. He went back into the soil and made animals, and he brought those animals. God is very intelligent. He is very wise. He said, okay, let me bring these animals and see if these animals are going to be the way this person, this wonderful being that I have created is. But still, there wasn't. The Bible says there was none like Adam in the garden. None. And God, being smart as he is, he went into Adam and pulled out a piece from Adam. And that piece is his spirit, which I've spoken about in one of the videos that I did. Pulled out his spirit and built the woman. So we have two powerful beings, two individuals that are complete, that are unique. So God created you as an individual first. So if you understand who you are as an individual, you're living that life as being single, then you will not, when you are going into marriage, you will ensure when you want to add up another status to your life, which is being married, you will understand that I need my whole self. I need my whole self. So when God was talking about being alone, he's just talking about this person. He is all in one. He is complete. He's got all these potentials and all these abilities. There was nobody like him. So it's not a question of loneliness. It is not. So before I go further to explain to us some few benefits of being single, I'm just going to read a few comments here. Okay, Queen Chi said being single is a blessing. It's a great blessing, but we have the wrong definition of being single. That is why so many of us are running to get married. We have a wrong definition, but we don't know that even in marriage, we still need our identity. We still need us as a complete being. You don't need yourself as premature person, because if you're premature, another person you're married to is premature in the sense that they're not complete. They don't understand who they are. They don't understand their source and potentials and purpose and the whole singleness. They don't understand the whole concept. Then premature plus premature cannot give birth to maturity. And that is why a lot of us go into marriage with high expectation that somebody is going to complete me. He's going to help me. He's going to develop me. He's going to do this. I'm sorry. But if you don't do that while you're not yet married, nobody's going to do that for you. You know, Mrs. Ufoma said you need to be single because you have a purpose to fulfill that is separate from that of your spouse. That is true. That is true. We all have different purpose. And like I said earlier on, when you want to get married, the first thing you want to check out is if this person's purpose and my purpose are going in line. And that is why the Bible says two cannot work together unless they agree. So your relationship time is a time of agreement. I am agreeing. I am checking. Do you know your source? I want to understand all these things. You know, it's not a time for you to know if she can cook, she can clean. It's not a time for you to know if a man can have sex with you, can make love to you on a high level. That is not the time for that. Your relationship time is not the time for that. And somebody said, in heaven, there is no marriages or spouse. That is so true. That is so true. And I spoke about that in one of the videos that I did, talking about we women as spirit being, that our bodies just houses the Spirit of God. If you come to think about it, if you really think about it, if God created us, so why are we on this earth? We should have been in heaven with him. But there is a purpose why we are here. And once we leave this place, once we die, our flesh is just buried. Our spirit goes up to him as individuals, as spirit being. We don't go as married couples. That is why purpose is greater than marriage. Purpose is greater than marriage, and purpose is the greatest achievement you can ever achieve as an individual. Marriage is just marriage is like an icing on the cake, you know, and you can have an icing just standing by itself without the main cake. You need the main cake, you know. So she said that is why, as a woman of purpose, you need a man with a purpose to fulfill destiny. Yes, I talked about destiny, meaning destiny is that we normally say is a destination. So this earth is a destination. You want to get somebody that is complete and that has a purpose in life. Then the both of you come together and you fulfill your destiny. Sorry, excuse me. And oh, good evening, Pastor Victor. Thank you so much for joining me, and happy birthday to you in arrears. I know your birthday is finished, but another year, it's a wonderful year. And he's saying he couldn't have been alone if God was with him, but there was none who can vibrate at his frequency for most of the times. Definitely. As a lady, you need to have discovered yourself before thinking of marriage. You need to discover yourself, and discovering yourself is answering all those questions that I mentioned earlier on, which is where you're coming from, who you are, what is your purpose, what can you do, and where you're going. You need to answer all these questions, and answering all these questions sums up the definition of singleness. If you can answer all those questions, then you can answer the whole this thing of singleness. So Pastor Anu says, so true, my dear sister. One common error I noticed among young folks is to rush into a relationship or get married in attempt to be whole. Hey, that is the most dangerous thing you can ever do to yourself. It's very dangerous. And that is why I said earlier on that divorce is very, very high. Because we go into marriage with an expectation that somebody is going to complete us. Nobody is going to complete you if you don't complete, if you don't complete yourself. If there is any word as that, it's the dangerous thing to do. That is why people wake up one day and they say, John, I don't
understand you anymore. You've changed. Well, of course,
John has changed. Because when John came into the marriage, he didn't come in as a whole being. He came in as a whole identity of who his father has given to him, who society has made out of him, whose education has made out of him. If you sum up all those things, there is just nobody. There is no identity. You know? There is no identity. So Pastor Anu said every young person should rather invest time discovering oneself and purpose. It's the key. Yes, we need to spend time to discover who we are. That is why I don't understand why a woman who is in a relationship has so much time in her hands to go and be cooking for somebody, to go and be doing groceries for somebody. You need that time to discover who you are. And let me tell all the single ladies something. Let me tell you something. If you want to get married, I've said it before and I'll say it again. All this cooking, cleaning, domestic chores and all these things, they are all secondary things. They are things that I, as a person, I can actually learn in 1 week. 1 single week. I can learn how to clean my house in 1 hour. If I go on YouTube and I type, how do I make my bed? It will be there. If I type, how do I clean my house? It will be there. There are so many videos on how to cook. But there is no video that can teach you how to develop yourself in 1 week. There is nothing. I don't care how many, there is no message that can transform you to become a whole individual in just 1 week. But all these things that we classify as primary, we can actually do them. And even those of us that go into relationship and then we want to know if the lady can make love or the man can have sex and all those things. Those things, even in marriage, 1 night is enough to learn all those things. And it's like learning on the job. You can actually learn all those things whilst you're married. You can learn how to cook in marriage. But you cannot learn how to be an individual in marriage. It is impossible. Because when you're going into marriage, you're going there with somebody. You're not going with yourself. It is impossible. You know, so it's the key. Discovering yourself. It's very fundamental. You know, it is very fundamental. Very, very fundamental. Okay, so what are the benefits of being single? I mean, I have like a lot of benefits of being single, but I'm just going to pick out just a few points that I will share with us. So number 1 reason why being single is important is that you develop self-love. When you understand that I am unique, I am whole, I am separate, I don't need to be like Vivian, I don't need to be like Jessica, I just need to be myself. You just love yourself so much. And giving love comes really easy when you're single. It comes very easy. You give love without an expectation of anything because you're a complete being. You don't need somebody to give you love. You don't need somebody to add love to your life. Whether they give you, they don't give you, you don't care because you already have self-love. And self-love comes from you being single. So you already have self-love. You don't need anybody to, if like Miles Monroe always say that, you know what? You love me or you don't love me, I love myself. If you decide today you're not going to love me, I still love myself. So being single helps you to love yourself. It helps you to love yourself. And then another thing is that when you understand your state as a complete being and your source, you live according to that standards, you are able to dominate your world. Your world could be anything. It could be to be a fashion designer. It could be a hairdresser. It could be any area that God has called you to be. It could be anything. But then again, you know that I am dominating. So being single is a time to dominate your earth, to dominate your world. If you're a fashion designer, it is not enough that they know you in your community. I mean, with all the potential that you have inside of you, the whole world should know about you. Because you are a unique fashion designer. There is no fashion designer like you anymore. There is nobody that makes hair like you anymore. There is nobody that can invent something like you. Nobody. So your time of being single, one of the benefits you gain when you understand your state is to dominate your world. I mean, I see some women with so much potentials in them, and then they acquire this status, which is the Mrs. status, and then they have children, they lose who they are, they don't have anything to do. And some of them after graduation from university with all their qualification, you see them, they are just raising children at home, doing nothing. Or they go and open up a business somewhere and then they are selling things. That is not good. And those are all the things, those are all the dangers when you don't understand your state, when you're trying to run from who you are. You run away from your purpose. You run away from your potential. And I want to say this to all of us. You see, if you understand God, you will understand that God does not repeat anything. If God created you as Ugochi, there is no any other Ugochi again. Is one Ugochi in the whole entire universe. So if you are running away from that Ugochi, who is going to bring the solution that you carry? If you're running away from being Bami Seye Victor, who is going to release all those ability into our world? Who is going to do the things that you're meant to do? Who is going to do that? So God does not repeat anything. And that is why I don't crave to be like anybody. I don't want to be like anybody. In fact, I don't want to be like my mom or my dad or anybody. I don't want to. I just want to live like my source. Intelligent, creative. You know, I just want to live like the person who made me. And that is what you need to pursue. Don't try to be like anybody. Don't try to want to look like, no. Today we have Beyonce. I don't think there is anybody that does what Beyonce do. We have people like Celine Dion. There is nobody that does what Celine Dion does. Can you imagine if Celine Dion decides that she wants to be a rapper? She wants to start rapping? Seriously, do you know how that sounds? Or if Beyonce decides today she wants to be a housewife with a small business. She wants to open a corner shop business somewhere. Do you know how that sounds? We have so many people today that are very talented. Or Oprah Winfrey. Let's imagine Oprah Winfrey in a house with children, releasing her potentials in her children, she will not be able to touch the life of people she is touching today. She will not be. She will not. And I said something about Celine Dion. Even when Celine Dion got married, she was still releasing her potentials. She was still releasing her ability. She was still releasing her songs. She was still releasing who she is. She's still doing that. Why? Even unbelievers, they understand the concept of being single. But some of us Christians, we are trying to run away from who we are. And it's not possible. You know? So, and another thing is that being single, one of the benefits of being single is that all this earthly competition comes to an end. There will be no competition because we are all unique. We are all separate. We are all, all our gifts are as we are all special. We don't have to, there will be no competition. Because I understand that as a person who makes, for example, I make dresses. I know that there is nobody that makes dresses like me. Although there are people who make dresses, but the kind of dresses that I make, nobody else makes it. So all this competition, trying to, be like other people, we're trying to beat up. If Jessica did this, I will do that. If Afolabi do this, he did this, I will do it as well. If he did this, he did that. And I want to tell all of us single ladies, if you understand yourself, you wouldn't need to strive to be like anybody. You wouldn't be in a competition with anyone. And all this jealousy, hatred, and all those things will not be coming up. Because we all understand that we are all special. We are all single. We are all a whole, complete people. It's just like you go to the shop. We have different kinds of eggs. Can you imagine if we have just one type of egg? We have free range egg. We have different kinds of egg. We have egg that grows from chicken that live in the poultry and those who live in the free environment. If we have one variety in life, do you know how that's going to be like? That's why the world is just such in a chaos the way it is. Because we're not being who we are. We're trying to run away from who we are. We're trying to run away from the person that we are supposed to be. We're trying to run away from being single as if it's a disease, as if it's a sickness, as if it's leprosy. But you can't run away from who you are. You can't. You can't. And the issue of loneliness will come to an end. Because if you understand who you are, you will love to spend time with yourself. You will love to spend time with yourself. You will love to, be alone, like to talk to yourself, to see what else you can do, to communicate with your source. In fact, you will be craving just to be by yourself. You would want to be by yourself. So, I wouldn't be able to cover up everything because we've run out of time. So if I can know what you think, or if you have any question, please go ahead and ask your question. I'm hoping that I'm going to come up to conclude this whole conversation because I've run out of time and I haven't been able to cover up all the things that I am meant to cover. So if I can know what you think, or if you've got any question you want to ask. Mrs. Ufoma said, "It is true. You are a masterpiece, unique in yourself, no matter the namesakes you have." We are a masterpiece. Actually, if you go to the book of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, if you read from New Living Translation, the Bible says we are a masterpiece. Do you know what a masterpiece is? We all know about the Mona Lisa painting. We know how that is a masterpiece there. So we're even far much more than Mona Lisa painting. Trust me. Good evening, Your Royal Highness, Mrs. Nkiru, Pastor Obi. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Mrs. Ufoma said, I enjoy being by myself, all by myself. That is true. That is so true. We have to enjoy being by ourselves. Let's stop running away from who we are. You know, singleness is the most amazing thing. Don't run away from it. This is a time for you to know who you are. It's a time to discover yourself. It's a time for you to release your potential to the world. Just like that story that I gave in the beginning, that I talked about the man who went to heaven gate with all his potential that the world needed. People, we need you. We need you as a whole being. We don't need you as what other people say you are. You know? Mrs. Nkiri said, singleness is the most beautiful page of life if we use it well. Yes, it's the most beautiful thing. And even in marriage, you still need your individuality. You need that person as a single individual, you know. So, being married is just a status. That is what I say to myself. Being married is just a change of status. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change what I do. It doesn't change how I talk. It doesn't change my character. It doesn't change the God that I know. It doesn't change my source. It doesn't change my purpose, my identity. Being married does not change anything except my status and the fact that I have to walk with somebody. But then again, I've been working with other people, my friends, family. I've been working with them. And that is why I said earlier on that God is a God of relationship. You know, so being married is just a change of status, period. It's nothing more, nothing else. If you come as a single person, you in your singleness, and another person comes in their single state, the both of you come together. Are you kidding me? This world is going to be a better place. So let's all have that understanding. Even in marriage, you still need to be single. You still need to be unique. You die your whole self. Your husband needs it. Your wife needs it. You know? So, hello, Queen Fumi. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much. Mr. Afolabi, thank you so much. I can see you're here with your wifey. Oh, thank you so much. Mrs. Afolabi, I want to tell you that your husband is an amazing man and he's learning some great, amazing skills, and I hope you are seeing them. Queen TY, yes, that's my precious queen. Thank you so much. Pastor Annie said God's desire is that we remain forever single. Period. That is just it. We need to remain forever single. If you change your status, married or not married, it doesn't change anything. You still need to be single. You know, so the next time somebody asks you, are you single? You know that the person doesn't really understand the state that they are, you know, because they will know, instead of asking, are you married or unmarried? That is the question we're supposed to be asking, because all of us, we are all single individuals, you know. Mrs. Sinkiri said, it's something more wahala. LOL. Oh, I didn't understand that. I did, Mrs. Sinkiri, I didn't understand what you're saying. No, more wahala. Yes, Mr. Afolabi is here today with his single wife. His wife is fully single. He is fully single, and both of them are enjoying their marriage. Thank you so much. Okay. Does anyone have any question? Does anyone has any question? We've run out of time. I hope next time I'll be able to come and then we can talk about this more. Oh, Mrs. Nkiri said marriage is 10 times wahala. Yes, actually, research has shown that when you get married, even it's there in the Bible, because Paul said when you get married is many troubles, is so many, but if you understand that I am single, my husband is single, the both of you, it's just going to be easy. It's going to be easy. You're not going to be trying to say that, you're not going to be expecting your husband, like, for example, if your husband comes back from work, he knows that, I love myself and I am hungry. If she doesn't cook for me, let me go and cook for myself and eat. You understand that if they don't do this for you, you do it for yourself because you love yourself. Don't give your hand over your happiness to anyone, please. Okay, so I want to say one thing to all our singles before I go. So our singleness is our state of singleness is separate, unique, and a whole person. And being separate is you're detached, you're different, you're apart. There is just nobody like you. And being unique is you're original. So we need more originals. We don't need photocopies. We don't need what our moms and our dads look like or what our society, culture, tradition. We need originals. And Genesis chapter 1 and 2 defines originality for us. And our whole being is we being complete. We being unified, one with ourselves, one with ourselves. So that is just what I want to tell every one of us. Please, let's go out there and pursue being single. Let's release our potentials to the world. Let's not let's not confine ourselves in a box. We shouldn't do that. God is a God of He's omnipotent. He is full of potential, and he has given that potential to us. That is, we've got so much in ourselves. So don't allow anybody to deceive you that you being single is a curse or is a disease. It is not. Actually, it's the best time you need for yourself, because once you get you change your status, you will realize that you will just be in a rat race. You will be running, trying to catch up with everything that is going on. It's just going to be too much hard work. So you want to make sure that is sorted before you change your status. Before you change your status. And Queen T.Y. said, meaning retain your unique and your whole self. You need to maintain it. Yes, that is so true. That is so true. You need to do that, please. And especially for the women. Even if you're 30 years old, 40, 50, no matter your age is just a number. There are so many people today that are 50 years old and yet they are still struggling with their identity. They still don't know who they are. And if you say that because age, you're running out of time, you decide to go and get married to somebody that is struggling with their identity, you're just going to you're just going to destroy yourself, because at the end of the day, the both of you will not be able to work together. There will be divorce and so many things will now be affected. So I just want to encourage you, and even if you're married, please go discover who you are and begin to release your potential to the earth. And so those are the things that makes a man even loves you more. Those are the things that makes a woman love you, because you're yourself. You don't depend on them. You don't need anyone to babysit you. You don't need anyone to feed you or to do things for you, So please, I do apologize. We've run out of time. But I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you. Every single one of you that has come on this platform today. I want to say thank you all so much. And I love you all so much. And please release your potential. That potential is not needed in heaven. It's needed on earth. It's needed on earth. Some of us Christians that have become earthly irrelevant. We're so heavenly focused. We're running to heaven and running with heaven with all the gifts and with all the solution and everything that we're supposed to release on earth. We're running to heaven with it. Trust me, just like that video, God will send you back. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you so much. I do appreciate every one of you. Mrs. Nkiru, thank you. Mr. Afolabi, thank you. Queen Darlene, Mrs. Ufoma, Queen TY, oh, Mrs. Sugochi, you have no idea. I really appreciate you and I value you so much. I celebrate you so much. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Thank you. Who else is here? Pastor Anu, I do appreciate you. I celebrate you so much. I value you. Queen Esther Kuganja, I thank you so much. Queen Fumi, I do appreciate every one of you. My pastor, Pastor Shegun, thank you so much for joining me. Let's see who else is here. Queen Adora, I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Pastor Obi, I do appreciate you. I celebrate you. Thank you so much. Queen Olivia, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. Pastor Victor, thank you so much for joining me. Queen Yetunde, Queen YSA, thank you so much. I celebrate you. And my King Oluwatoyin, thank you. And Anthony, thank you. Emmy, Bobby, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Please, let's go out to the world and be our best. And remember, being single is not a curse, it's a blessing, and it's God's idea. Thank you all so much. Bye.